Senator Ernst, it's good to talk with you again. How are you?
Oh, I am doing well. Thanks so much for spending some time with me as well. Thank you.
You bet. You bet. So, I know that it's legal for the small refiners to request these waivers when they are experiencing when they are experiencing financial hardship, but the waiver process, it takes some real imagination to turn the waiver process into these gap year requests, doesn't
Mhm.
it?
Yes, and boy, these oil state folks are very creative in what they're trying to do, and they think they have found a loophole. And yes, okay, so it's legal, right? Yeah, you said
Yep.
it's legal to do this. However, what they have found is a loophole in the 10th Circuit decision, and they are trying to go back and string these hardship years together. But for heaven's sakes, these are, some of them are from 9 years ago,
Yeah.
8 years ago. And wouldn't you think that if they were experiencing a hardship in those years, that they would have applied for
Right.
that necessary year? But they didn't. And so what they're trying to do, and who knows, what they're fabricating out there to, petition the EPA. But I spoke with Administrator Wheeler last week, and I basically told him, listen, this is not upholding the spirit of
There
the
you go.
law because there is congressional intent.
Yep.
This does not follow the intent, and those gap waivers should go right into the garbage.
Okay. And I like how you said you first referenced the oil state lawmakers in this. It's not like EPA is out promoting it. It's the oil state lawmakers, even some on in your party, Senator Ernst, are pushing the small refiners to do this, right?
Yes, that is absolutely correct. And
Hmm.
so even within our party, we have a divide
Yeah.
on how the RFS should be managed and upheld. So, of course, those of us from the Grain Belt or across the Midwest, we believe firmly in the RFS. And then we have the oil state senators that are madly trying to find any way around the RFS to keep their oil folks happy. So the president has called me relentless on this issue, and I will keep being that relentless leader
Hmm.
in upholding the RFS. EPA must deny these petitions and then apply the 10th Circuit decision nationally.
Right.
We've got to do that.
Right. Right. Yeah. And I'm so glad that you mentioned the congressional intent of the RFS. The rules are there, the laws are there. And I don't know if you know this about me, Senator, but back in 2006, 2007, RFS 2, when it was going through, I was
Hmm.
not a huge proponent of it. I was more in line of let's let the market determine how much demand there is
Hmm.
for the ethanol. But that doesn't change the fact that once they pass that law and an industry is built on the law and investments are made based on the law, that's when I became a staunch supporter of the RFS and defender of the RFS because you're what they're attempting to do is pull the rug out from underneath this industry.
Right. Right. And that is exactly it, where we all want to support the market and market-driven solutions. That's
Yes.
absolutely what we agree. But it was the oil industry that had the necessity for the RFS. So the law was passed. People invested millions upon billions
Yes.
of dollars in the biofuels industry because it was mandated.
Yes.
And so people invested, and now the oil folks are saying, well, let's pull the rug out from under them.
Yeah. Yeah, they're
That
saying tough.
certainly is not the way to go about business here in the United States.
Exactly. So you've put your foot down on RFS issues before, and you're doing it again, blocking the nomination of Doug Benevento to be EPA Deputy Administrator. What's the status
Yeah.
there? Have they heard the message loud and clear?
Oh, yes, they have heard the message loud and clear. So
Okay.
I've spoken to John Barrasso about that. He is the chair of the EPW committee. And John is one of those oil state guys, and he sees this very differently. And I appreciate, of course, the EPA working on so many different issues. We've had some wins. We got E15 year-round from them. We have repealed the waters of the U.S., but we have to stay vigilant. We've got to keep watching EPA. So we've stopped the number 2 guy, Mr. Benevento, who's headed the EPA. We have stopped that, and I had the conversation with John Barrasso and just simply explained, listen, I am going to stand up for the RFS. I will not allow an EPA nominee to move forward until we know what's going to happen with those 52 gap waivers and really see them following, again, the congressional intent of the law. And so, we'll hold them up as long as we need to.
Well, okay, as long as we need to, what do you anticipate for the timetable on this to look like?
As long as it takes. But what we would like to see certainly is some sort of certainty before the election cycle. We really want EPA to get rid of these gap waivers, throw those petitions in the garbage, because it is a bunch of garbage. I understand the law allows an oil refinery to go petition the EPA. I get that. But again, it's not upholding the spirit of the law, and I'm here to defend the RFS and uphold the congressional intent of the law.
If I recall correctly, Senator, didn't you put Wheeler on notice months ago?
Oh, I did. And that was the commitment to the $15 billion
yes.
or 50 billion gallons. So when we were going through this fight 8 months ago, with the RFS and the administration, we said, okay, you don't uphold your commitment to our ethanol producers, our biofuels industries, and our American farmer, then you will resign. I'll call for his head. So he is thus far upholding that commitment. But he is on notice. He is on notice.
Yeah, and
they've just got to keep plugging along.
So if these gap waiver requests are granted, could it cost him his job?
I think it can, because with the discussions that I've had with the president in the past and will continue to have with the president, and again, he calls me relentless on these issues. I don't take no easily. But working with him on this, he has got to understand. Excuse me. Let's see. We've got a call coming in there. Okay, sorry. Yeah, I had another call coming in, but that one could wait.
Don't they know what you're doing here? Yeah.
But anyway, we have got to keep pressing the president on these issues, and he has made a commitment to uphold the RFS. And if he doesn't, he just needs to know the Wheeler's upholding his commitment.
Right. I was going to make that point, that we need to hold the White House and President Trump accountable on this as well, because he's made promises and commitments on this too. I want to switch gears on you real quick. Implementation of USMCA on July 1. Boy, finally, huh?
I am so excited. I mean, what a great day. Mexico, Canada, our 2 largest trade partners for the great state of Iowa. This will be such a boon for our agricultural committee. We are so thankful for our community, and we are just so thankful to have this done and for moving forward. And I'm glad the president stuck with it. The Democrats tried to detract from it and block it for nearly a year, and we finally got it closed, and now we can go into full implementation.
Yeah, and full implementation of this, it feels like it can be one of those things that will help us in the recovery of the ag economy going forward from the pandemic.
Absolutely, and this is what our farmers and growers need right now, because COVID-19 has hit them hard. and to know that we're able to take the products that maybe can't be used at restaurants right now and be able to work with Canada and Mexico with some of the excess goods that we see, across the Midwest. I think we've got a lot of opportunity.
Senator Ernst, it's always good to talk with you. We need to do it more often. Thank you.
Yes. Thanks so much. Have a great day.
All right, let's bring in Robert White. He is the Vice President, Industrial Relations for the Renewable Fuels Association. Robert, it is good to talk with you again. How are you?
I'm doing great. I thought that song was about your next guest.
There it is. There it is. That's right. You got to have that, too. What'd you think of the comments from Senator Ernst?
Well, as always, it's good, and we're very grateful to the senator for demanding answers and even putting a hold on Benvenuto's nomination. That's hard for me to say as a Kansan, but nonetheless, we need her leadership more than ever.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt.